the script had like 3 drafts. The first one, it was like more like a story, a sort of enquete, more classical. And after that, I think I was, in fact, I was touched by the story that my friend told me, because usually you don't see in a movie, like all the time in this kind of movies, the police officers, they are trying to, they are fighting at the end with the evil and with the devil, and this type of case and this type of seeing this work, it was touching for me, I think. And after that, I made some documentation about a police officer, and I saw all this procedure and all these steps that he's following, and all these reports that he have to make it at the end of every day. And step by step, I was realizing that at one point, if you have to do every day something, to write every day something very strict, in a very strict formula, I was following that person. He was the written report has very strict rules. And after that, I was thinking, okay, if someone makes this every day, I think these reports after that change your way of seeing the world. So I think this was something that was interested me at one point. I have to say that 3 years ago I had another script, which it was with a police officer who was working in disparitions, and I was made at that point a documentation with the police officer who was working in this. So yeah, I think there were a lot of things which a lot of stories that I had it before and I didn't make it. So I heard 2 stories which they inspired me. One, it was about a teenage from a small city who betrayed his brother in a case like that, smoking hashish. His brother, he was a student in Bucharest, and he gives it to him from time to time, hashish, and he was smoking with his friends. So that was the first story. And the second story, it's I have a friend of mine who is a police officer, and he told me once that he didn't want to solve a case of smoking marijuana because he didn't want to have on his conscience a life of a young guy. All the movies build at the third person, and you see him watching, following every day. But at the end of the day, you see how he saw all the day and what it remains at the end. What it remains after a day like that is this report, which is very strict, and in the same time, the way we are writing, it's develop our personality. Because I was made study with I don't know the name in English of the guys that they are. There is a science which is calligraphy. So I give the script to calligraph, and I have to fill. He gave me back a sort of questions about the character, and after that he saw I give it to him samples of a few guys which they were written something, and at the end we choose this type of written, which it was more closer to the main character. So I think handwritten has his own life, you know. And I choose to do this because to see how he saw and what it it will stay at the end, these reports, and the way that they will form him, you know. And after that, because the movie, for me, it's like 3 parts. Each day it's ending with a report, and at the end you have this absurd schema on the table. So for me, that was the structure of the movie in a way. When I was building this character, I was thinking at this type of police officer who maybe starts his career in before revolution, and but in the same time, I think it's something that he don't want to complicate himself, you know. He found this, and he found his own way and his own law, if you want, and he's restricted like that. Of course, it's like mentality. It could be like it's from the ancient time, because it's like. But in the same time, yeah, it's like he has this with the strugure. There is that scene with the grapes, and it's the way of seeing the bad, the evil. So his philosophy is to cut it from the beginning. So yeah, it's an attitude. Of course, all is very Romanian there. I'm inspired by characters or by people that I know, you know, and I think there is this type of. I'm sure about this type of thinking. Very radical, black and white, and there is something in my culture like that, yeah.
A fi cu conștiința împăcată sau a nu avea nimic pe conștiință, a fi convins că nu a săvârșit nimic împotriva legilor moralei sau a legilor statului. A fi fără conștiință, a fi lipsit de scrupule.
Yeah, because it's I think when you are dealing with the law every day, and at one point, maybe if you don't have other institutes, at one point I think you renounce and to do it by the letter of the law. I'm feeling this. I felt this when I made the documentaries, when I made the documentation of the movie. So I think it's hard to be yourself every day, and to try to discover yourself every day. And for a police officer who struggles like that in a system like that, I think at one point he renounced at something that it's absurd, like like an institution, which at one point it's absurd, and it goes by its own, you know. You don't have something like, because at the end the chief, he's God, and he's like a God, and he found in time his way of seeing world, and he has certitudes. He doesn't try to. And it's funny because people. I have a police guy told me that all of us we have this type of cases in our life. So I love 2 of my favorite movies. They are Pickpocket or Bresson and Blow Up by Antonioni, and they are movies that I really love from years. So in this movie I was influenced by this, and I was conscient about this, and because I give it. I was focusing in the body language of the main character, and I want to give this to the main character because at one point he likes to do what he wants and what he's doing, and I'm thinking that every time he's like a hunter, his body language is like that all the time, his intention. So he's this type of character who loves his job, and at the end, this is that for in a way I was. It takes so much time in silence, in a way to perceive that at the end he's convinced by his boss, because it's beautiful to say, okay, I will renounce because I have an idea, but in daily life it's not like that. I don't think most of the people, even in our days, they are not dying for ideas, that's for sure. So for me, all this silent part, it was very important in a way to characterize him. And I really believe that in the cinema of today, we are so concerned in what the audience will like and will be pleased. But in fact, we renounce at maybe the most important thing of the cinema, which is coming maybe from the silent movie, is the time and the way to be of the character. Usually in the cinema now we don't insist in this type of there are of course a lot of directors like José Alcien or Argentinians. I saw Argentinian movies or which they are trying this, but it's so focused on the story, on the script. It's so scripted. They are so scripted, the script, the stories today, and all the time a character is characterized by another character or in a situation. So for me it was interesting to I had this obsession of daily life, a routine, and him alone, because he's alone. A character like that, he's spending almost half of the day alone watching people, and that was very important in my movie to give this kind of atmosphere. Of course, my attitude is like when you're editing all this long, it's a sort of absurdity, is the way that I see this daily job. But he's important to, for me it was important him to be alone and to see this, to have the taste of his loneliness and in the same time he's not perceiving this like absurd. He likes to, in a way, he likes to do this. So therefore I insist in these long shots and long, in the beginning of the movie. And in the way he's dressed, he don't want to be seen, noticed by the others, the way he's, I was, in the followings because when you are following someone, there are some rules. We try to respect all these rules, all these distances between the character and the victim and all. So yeah, I was digging in that direction, hoping that I will find there the truth at the end. You'll never find it. In Romania, the movie had like 12,000 entries in the theaters, which is good. Yeah, it's like, it was a movie that it was loved by some people and hated by other people. Maybe because of this proposition, which is usually people they are expecting to see movies and action, and a few of them they were thinking that they spend money for nothing watching a guy following another guy. So yeah, but you have this all over the places. It's like what I'm happy. It's at the end I have at the end of the day I think I have my audience, which is not very big, but in time we could me and my colleagues we could build an audience which will love this kind of movies.